Okay, so I found this video on Facebook and just reading the title, I know it's gonna be heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, but let us watch it nonetheless. Let's see.
Anthony Ray Hinton spent 30 years in prison for his wrongful conviction.
One of the most incredible stories I've ever heard.
A case that's garnered national attention.
One of the worst nightmares out there.
He said, I don't care whether you did it or didn't do it, but I'm going to make sure you found guilty of it. I just somehow wanted to protect my mom. I didn't quite know whether she understood.
He wasn't convicted because he committed a crime. He was convicted because he was poor.
I had never been so convinced of someone's innocence than I had in Mr. Hinton's case.
Very scary to think that a man could be killed if he's actually innocent.
Anthony suffered in isolation and darkness.
I'm so sorry.
How long would it be before they come and get me?
The last time she saw you and said, son, when are you coming home?
Yes.
When are you coming home?
He said, whether you shot him or not, I don't care. You have been found guilty, I sentence you to death.
The entire country was watching.
30 years of pure hell.
An incredible story of faith and resilience. I don't know if I could have done it.
It can't get no lower.
I actually watched or heard about another story about a younger man that went to jail without having committed a crime. There's so many stories out there like this. Ugh, so it's a little infuriating, especially when you can't do anything about it. And I think, let's just watch this. Oh my gosh.
I've seen hate at its worst.
He was ordered to spend the remainder of his life in prison.
Right next to a convicted KKK member.
There stood two white gentlemen that I'd never seen before. I said, can I help you? He said, we have a warrant for your arrest. We want you to put your hands behind your back. I showed my mother the handcuff, and like any good mother, she began to scream and holler, what are those handcuffs doing on my baby? This seemed to set the detective off. He turned around, he looked at me, and he said, we have decided that we're going to charge you with 2 counts of first-degree capital murder. I said, but I haven't done any of that. You got the wrong person. He said, let me tell you something right now. I don't care whether you did it or didn't do it. He said, but I'm going to make sure you found guilty. And by the way, there's 5 things that are going to convict you. He said, number 1, you black. Number 2, a white man is going to say you shot him. Whether you shot him or not, I don't care. He said, number 3, you're going to have a white prosecutor. Number 4, you're going to have a white judge. And number 5, you're going to have an all-white jury. He said, do you know what that spells? And he looked at me and he said, conviction, 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 conviction.
Where's a recorder when you need one? Like, was anyone around him when this guy was telling him this? Like, did he say these words verbatim? Because, oh my gosh. I cannot believe these things happen. Wow. And this is so true because of the fact that a black person is on trial and the judge is white, the prosecutors are white, the jury is white. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm so upset right now.
He said, I really believe you didn't do it. He said, but since y'all is always taking up for one another, he said, take this for your homeboy.
What? You hurt? Really? Oh, because of the camaraderie. Oh, it's since y'all don't want to snitch, you gonna be the one to take the fall. Oh my gosh. What?
I goes before a judge. The judge proudly stand up and say, Anthony Ray Hinton, you have been found guilty, and it is the order of this court that I sentence you to death. I really lost sight for a few seconds. I was just totally in shock. I just somehow wanted to protect my mom. I didn't quite know whether she understood. I didn't want the world to believe that my mom He had raised a son that was capable of taking another human being life. And so I asked God to let the truth come out.
The last time she saw you and every time she heard your voice, she said, son, when are you coming home?
Yes.
When are you coming home?
She would ask me that, and I lied to her every time she asked me. Mama, they're working on it. They're just gonna take some time. And I was transported to death row. I did not say a word to another human being for 3 years.
What?
Going into the fourth.
For 3 years, he did not speak. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. You know how hard that is? Wow.
I woke up approximately at 1 a.m. to the sound of a grown man crying. A man that I had lived by, never asked him his name or where he was from. But at an early age, my mother taught me compassion. My mother taught me no matter what one does in life, he or she still deserves compassion. And it was that compassion that I hollered through this brick wall. And I said, sir, do you need me to call and get the officer back here? He said, no.
My name's Ray, I said. There was silence. There was something in this guy's voice. He sounded alone. I'm from Praco, I said. I'm proud to be the son of Bueller Hinton, the best mother God ever sent down to this earth, who can make a pie like an angel and swat you like the devil if you try to eat it before she says so. I heard a few guys laugh, but I didn't know if the guy whose name I was waiting on was one of them. My mom makes a pretty good pie herself, he finally said. My name is Henry.
Henry was a Ku Klux Klan.
What? Okay, so now we know who the KKK member was. It was Henry. All right.
So, his daddy was a grand wizard in the Klan's organization. Henry's father was upset that a black man had got found not guilty in a murder trial, and he ordered them to go out and kill the first black man that they came across.
What? First of all, he sent his son to do it. Why don't you do it? I'm not to say he should have done it at all, but how you be upset about something and then you tell your son to go so that he could take the fall for something that you wanted? You know what? These parents. Ooh.
To know Henry and realize that Henry had been taught to hate all his life.
There was no love there.
I had no anger toward Henry. He had been taught to fear blacks. He had been trained to hate.
But Henry and I became friends, and
before Henry was moved to the death room to wait for his execution, we talked one last time. I'm sorry, Ray. I'm sorry for what I've done. I know you are. God knows you are. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I have a brother named Ray. He's my brother, too. I could hear that Henry was crying, and my heart broke for him. Henry was my friend. It wasn't complicated. I would show him compassion because that's how I was raised. Compassion doesn't know what color you are. And I think Henry felt more love from the black men on death row than he ever did at a KKK meeting or from his own father and mother.
And I was told that Henry said, all of my life, my father, my mother, my community taught me to hate. The very people that they taught me to hate are the very people that taught me how to love.
Wow. Stop. That is deep. That is deep. Yo, you know what? It makes me think of this guy, the guy who went into the church to kill those people. And when, like, I think they showed, like, a few people whose family members were shot, they, like, called him or tried to speak to him and tell him that they forgave him or something. And they said, too, that he went in there to commit the crime, but then when he got there, he wanted to change his mind, but then went through with it anyway because of, like, the atmosphere and what he saw. Oh, my, that's just crazy. Like, people, oh, that's crazy. That's just,
Night, as I leave this world, I leave this world. knowing what love feels like. And I often say that if we can teach people to hate, we should be able to teach them to love. I really believe Henry left this world a better man than he came in. In 30 years, I witnessed 54 men walk by my cell only to be executed. And I kept saying, how long can I survive this madness? How long will it be before they come and get me? The night I found out that my mom had died,
Oh my gosh.
I really didn't give a damn whether I live. And that night as I tried to sleep, it was as though my mom came in the cell and stayed in my ear all night long. And I could hear her saying, I did not bring you up to be a quitter. And early that morning, I called Mr. Stevenson and I said, Mr. Stevenson, I want you to give the state of Alabama all the hell you can give them.
That's right.
Stevenson and the Equal Justice Initiative spent 16 years working on Mr. Hinton's case.
Mr. Hinton should have never been convicted. He wasn't convicted because he committed a crime. He was convicted because he was poor and didn't have the resources to prove his innocence.
The United States Supreme Court had finally intervened.
The result was a new trial that Ray Hinton had been waiting for. The state of Alabama dropped the case after a new look at the evidence could not match the bullets to the gun, and Hinton was released.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
It took Mr. Stevenson 16 long years to finally win my freedom. Would you believe this is the first time I've been in the rain in 30 years? It was wonderful. I mean, I could just stayed in the rain that whole day if I could have. And everybody kept saying, get out of the rain, you get sick. I said, I haven't had rain on my body for 30 years.
So,
Mom.
Wait, so prisoners, they don't stay out in the rain? So when they're in the yard and it rains, like they don't, like, they go outside. So it never rains when they're outside? I don't know.
I still love her, and although she's not here, she will always be in here. There's not a day that go by, not a night that I don't take her photo and kiss her and say goodnight, Mom. My mother had worked all her life to have a home built, and when I came home, I wanted to fix this whole house up, and it has a connection with me and her, and I did it in her memory. Just because someone do you wrong, it don't make it right that you go do them wrong. I can dwell on the negative and never grow. So I choose to embrace the good.
I don't sense any bitterness. Why is that?
Bitterness kills the soul.
That's right.
I cannot hate. I've seen hate at its worst. What would it profit me to hate? Devil taught me that either you love or you hate. Devil taught me you either help or you harm. Devil taught me no matter where we are, we still can love and we still can help one another. If we can teach people to hate, we should be able to teach them to love.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so deep. It's so true. If you can teach people to hate, you can teach them to love. And I feel like, I wonder if the people who actually need to watch this watch it. I hope they do. I was watching this the video of a teacher who was like in a classroom, and she was trying to teach kids the difference between, like, you know, themselves, and how she would like pick something and be like, okay, only people with glasses are going to be, you know, good kids, or we're going to give them privileges, and people without glasses would not. Or I think, no, it was like people with blue eyes or versus people with brown eyes. Anyway, so she used that example to show how people can change just by signaling out one thing about a person and making that thing what dictates whether they're superior or not. And she said, like, she saw how the kids changed in perspective to, or like, according to what they were deemed to be that day, their whole attitude and way of being and how they treated others changed. So it really is taught. If someone is teaching you how to hate, it doesn't matter, you know, how much people around you are affectionate or caring. If someone is constantly feeding you that hatred, that's what you're going to thrive on. But if the opposite happens and you're also taught to love, or you're being taught to love instead, then that's what you're going to show and demonstrate and live by. But anyway, this was a great video to watch. I hope you guys learned something from this. I hope the people who need to watch it, because it's just so sad. These kind of things should not happen. Look how old he looks. He lost 20 years of his life because some white police officer decided that he was going to end his life, almost literally. Just too sad. Just too sad. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you like more of these videos, you definitely can subscribe and we'll watch them together. Bye.